So I was there for some time. So I think growing up and moving around a lot was challenging. It had its challenges, but at the same time, I always moved with a purpose. You know, my parents wanted to move. It was every time was with a purpose for something that I didn't understand at the time. But I got myself into a lot of trouble when I was young, like 11, 12, 13 years old. I was getting into trouble.
Okay.
But I think what happened was I moved, and when I moved, I went to a new school, new area, new friends, just new environment, fresh start, and it just opened my eyes up to different things. And then I had teachers that were really helping me out along the way. But before that, I was just angry. You know what I mean? I was angry all the time. I didn't have no way to really express myself, and I expressed myself by getting into fights with people. But when I was 13, I got introduced to poetry, and that's when things really changed for me. So my adolescence was rocky. But I also feel like it had to be rocky in order for me to kind of find something smooth, you know, to be able to move. It's a balance. Life is all about balance, you know. You know, learning how to appreciate the balance and just accept and be okay with what comes your way, you know.
I touched on the relationship with your mom. We touched on that. What about the relationship with your dad?
My dad and I have a much better relationship now. Like I just spoke to him yesterday. He's kind of back and forth. He doesn't live in Canada. He's back and forth right now, so I don't get to see him often. But more importantly, you know, it was a journey, man. You know, just coming to a place of healing and just understanding that what he experienced is what made him the man he is today. But it doesn't necessarily, like, he's a good guy. We just never really vibed when I was coming up, you know.
So what was it like with him? Like, was it like abuse or just
no.
What was it? Was it just
nah?
You just didn't get along with him? That's what it is? Or was it just you being your adolescent self and getting in trouble and him?
I think because I grew up in Ghana without my mom. When I came back, I had about 2 years with my mom that I spent, and we had a great time. Like, it was a great relationship. So when he came, it shifted, right? And I held some resentment towards him because of my mom's situation, right? It's her husband at the end of the day. So my relationship with her shifted a little bit. So I think I held resentment towards him. And, you know, he did his best, man. He was around. Like, when I think about it, he was one of the only guys that was involved, one of the only fathers that lived in the community, because a lot of my friends didn't have the dads living around at the time. And he was, out of all my 10 friends, maybe 2 out of 10 fathers that was living in the household. So I'm grateful he was around. You know what I'm saying? He showed me a lot of things I do want to be, but showed me a lot of things I don't want to be. And I think to have that template, the balance. So to have that template is really important.
I feel like I've seen the same. I know what you're talking about. I kind of experienced it because it was just me and my mother for the longest time back home, and then when we migrated here, he was already here, and now it's them and me. So there's the whole transition, and then he had his own issues that abusive towards me. So that from the jump put the strain on our relationship. For the longest time. Like,
straight
up till now, I don't really speak to him at all. But it is what it is. Like I remember one time after I came out of prison, I tried talking to him, and the man's like, "For what?" Like that type of mentality.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, yo. I don't know how you can evolve without having a discussion.
I don't know how either.
And I see that with even with my aunt and my mom don't get along. My mom don't doctors. My mom don't want to deal with her. And it's like my aunt would act like nothing is wrong. I'll try to give my mom a hug. My mom's like not even trying to hug her. It's like there's an issue that needs to be addressed. So I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that generation they don't know what it means to talk. They don't know what it means to heal.
So another thing that reminded me, remember when one time on your story you posted that I believe it was like your uncle or somebody would say that you're wasting your time or some shit.
Yeah.
But they don't understand the work that you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which leads us to how did you start R.I.S.E? Reaching intelligent souls everywhere.
Because I grew up really angry and I had a teacher that introduced me to poetry, I think what it did is it opened me up to realize that I wanted to give back to the community in some way. So really I sat down with a few friends, mainly because I realized we don't have a space to talk about our issues, man. We don't have a space to talk about what we're going through. not a place that's safe, at least, that we can come to. So the vision was just using poetry. People can come share their poetry. But then I realized, like, when you think of rap is rhythm and poetry. So we open up to rap, to R&B, like there's poetry in everything. You know what I'm saying? It's not just like spoken word. It's in music. It's in music. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So if you don't know about R.I.S.E, it's Monday, and every Mondays at in Scarborough.
Yeah, Burroughs Hall Community Center.
Burroughs Hall Community Center, and then the first the last Thursday, the first Thursday of every month at Bathurst.
Yeah. 918 Bathurst.
918 Bathurst.
Yeah.
So you come in, sign up as an artist and spoken word artist, and just perform. And a lot of people, I tell Randell, you should start a label, bro, or something, you know, management, something, because the talent that, like, just name some of the few names that probably passed through early on, and I've probably gone on to do things, you know, good big things. You know?
Yeah, I mean, different people. There's Lou, there's Toby, John River. Yeah, a bunch of people that come out doing their thing.
Okay,
yeah,
so it's like it's a even though it's a grassroots thing, it's really helping the community too.
Big time,
it's it's a platform, and then on top of that, it gives them a space to express themselves, which is important, like you said, like from previous generations. I mean, I think they had to get drunk to express themselves back then, pretty much, you know, or some argument start. That's how they express themselves.
For sure, yeah.
Either they were drunk or some argument start. But we're not doing that anymore. We're trying to evolve from that and just say, you know, let's address this in a humane way, you know?
Yeah, straight.
Yeah, straight, yeah. But yeah, so the stuff you went through as an adolescent, the trauma that you went through just growing up, how did that affect you as an adult, and how did that impact you as an adult? You know, in retrospect.
Yeah, I think really affected me more positively than negatively, to be honest with you, because in my adolescence is when I went through a lot of the negative experiences. But after that, there's just a lot of like self-discovery, self-healing, learning, growing. You know,
was there books, people, was there mentors, people that put you onto some inner peace that you needed to? Because that's what it really came down to, is you have to find the inner peace, right?
Well, yeah, I was reading a lot of books at the time, so a lot of books are really helping me on my journey. So that was good.
Any particular books that stands out?
The Alchemist was a really helpful book. I was really big in basketball, so there's a book called St. Anthony.
Okay.
About a basketball school, about basically underachieving basketball players.
Okay.
And giving them an opportunity to play professional. And just learning about their story, like these guys went through some crazy stuff. So there was that. There was also like the Four Agreements really helped me as well. But I just started reading because I like to read. You know, I like to read novels. I like to read a lot of self-help stuff. I just got into reading because I realized that literature was a big part of my story. Like, I've always been writing since I was young.